I'm fine right here. Or do I have to be like super close?
Oh no, you're good.
Right
you're good right
okay.
there. Oh yeah. Although what I'm noticing is that whatever that freaking rattling is.
I kind of kept saying that too. I was like, that's totally going to be in this.
Well, I guess that's sort of the downfall of having this place is that it's an old building.
It seems like really old.
And
honestly,
there's going to be a lot of rattling happening. So be it. So
nice background noise.
Yeah, just people try to ignore that and just try to pretend that's not happening. So I'll do intros because we'll do formal intros.
That's fine.
So welcome everyone, Steve Walter Photo Podcast, Season 1. This is still Season 1. I started Season 2 a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
I haven't picked that back up yet, but I will. For those curious, I will pick that back up.
Okay.
But this is still Season 1. And today we have with us Amber
Beauvallaire.
Yeah, Beauvallaire. Is that French?
Yeah, French Canadian. Yeah.
French Canadian.
Well, my grandma's from Canada.
Oh, dope.
Born and raised.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Have you ever visited the homeland?
Quebec.
Quebec,
Yeah.
or sorry, Quebec, right?
Is that how you say it?
I think that's how they say it.
That's probably how I should have been learned or like taught how to say that.
Quebec.
Yeah.
I'm actually watching. Have you ever seen the TV show Trailer Park Boys?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you know.
That's actually from Canada too, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. That's why. Yeah.
Okay.
Because they are. That show is ridiculous. It's the most ridiculous show that I don't even know. I think I stumbled upon it. I think I was just randomly
no one like kind of
going
was
through.
like, you gotta watch this show.
No.
Oh God.
I don't. If anyone did, it was Falzone.
Okay.
If anyone told me it was him,
Yeah.
because I know I share with him the love for that show because the show is amazing. So for those who haven't seen the Trailer Park Boys, hop on Netflix. Go on they have 12 seasons now.
I was just gonna say they probably have about like 8 seasons, but okay. Why?
They have 12 seasons and I think they have 3 movies. No, you know who told me about it? It was
They
my
have
cousin.
movies?
My cousin, because he told me about the movie. Yeah, they started. I'm pretty sure it started with a movie.
Is the
Trailer
movie on
Park Boys.
Netflix?
It's got to be, yeah, because I think that's how I saw it.
That's where I watched it. Is like on Netflix. Trailer Park Boys, that's what has it. So.
Yeah, no, it started as a movie. I'm pretty sure, and it was just basically the same 3 characters and them just doing like a heist or whatever it was.
Yep.
And just the antics. I just bring it up because it's so funny because they say a boot and it's funny because it's Canadian, and they call everyone. Oh, what does he call them? What does he say? He'll say, boys, come on, boys. Yeah, boys, come on, boys, let's do this, boys.
And you would think that the A thing is actually not real. But
Yeah.
It totally is.
It's legit.
Like, they actually do put that, like, after a lot of things that they say.
Boot, yeah.
Yep.
That's just how they speak. And it's really weird that happens, that, like, dialects change from place to place. And then let alone when you go up to Canada and how it kind of shifts, or even if
Even
you just
if you're
go
like Michigan, like sometimes like people like still have like that
Yes.
like accent. And I'm like, wait, are you from there? Like, no, I'm from like Michigan. I'm like,
Yeah.
you kind of sound like you're from Canada.
You're Canadian,
honestly.
by the way.
But that could be offensive to some people. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Some people get a little weird with that.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. Like I got no beef with Canada. Some people are so like.
I've been asked by people like, have you ever been out of state, like out of the States? And I'm like, well, I've been to Canada, but I don't consider being out of states. And some people get like really like, don't say that. Like we're separate. And it's like, we're really not. I could drive there.
It's kind of not, yeah.
So.
And it is funny because when you think about it, Canada is freaking humongous.
Yeah.
Right? It's gigantic.
Oh, yeah.
But it's North America. So when we say we're Americans, we're including Canadians.
That's how I've always.
Canadians are Americans.
Yeah.
Because if you say you're an American, it's because you're part of North America.
Right.
Right? We're not South Americans.
Right.
And I don't know if South Americans call themselves Americans. Because technically...
I think you have to like put that South part in.
You have to, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting that we would be Americans because we live in the United States.
Right.
But if you're from Canada, they don't call themselves American.
Right.
They call themselves Canadian. Mm-hmm. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Because I guess what would we call ourselves otherwise? We would call ourselves Staties? United Statians? That's weird.
Or wherever you're from too. Like I know not California. Florida has theirs, like they're Floridians.
Floridians, right.
Yeah, and I think some other states like have their own too. Like I have actually been told, I found out like 2 years ago, that apparently in Massachusetts, like, because I found out how terrible they drive, and they're actually called massholes.
Massholes,
and I never knew that. I go, that's that's not a thing. That's not what they call them. They're like,
it's a thing.
No, they're like, even people from Massachusetts know that that's what they're called.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
I've actually been doing a lot of work up in Massachusetts lately, in Boston, driving back and forth, and Boston. The roads are ridiculous there.
Oh,
they're
really
so
bad.
stupid. They're just because they were designed for horses. Like a lot of like the side streets and sort of like the main city roads were designed for horses.
Okay.
And they just adapted it to cars, so it makes absolutely no sense.
And Mass, I think too, maybe definitely Boston, like had a bunch of trolleys at one point too.
Oh, maybe that's what it was too. Then trolleys.
I think that's like another thing as well, because I think like the older like towns and cities like have that kind of stuff.
The road setups are just so stupid there. So driving through there, but then also like on the highway, people are. Like, I thought Connecticut was bad. No,
that's
dude.
What I always said, too. And I've never in my life, like, and I've driven in, like, a good amount of states, and I've never had such bad anxiety driving in Boston.
Yeah.
And then one woman told me one time, I was like, yeah, and then I saw all those bumper buddies on all the cars, and she was like, oh, no, like, we have to get that.
You need that.
Like, when you're parallel parking, like, the person's not going to care.
No, they're just going to
go.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, my God, that sounds worse than New Haven.
Yeah.
I was like, that's so
I'm just going to hit you.
Yeah. Like, I don't care. You can, like, I know you're not going to pay for it because you're so used to it because you live in Boston. So you're just used to the Knicks at this point.
It's fine.
So
that's
I would
nuts.
hate that. Nope.
So, mass holes.
Yep.
Yeah. And we're Connecticutians? Is that a thing? No.
Someone, like, I don't know. I feel like there's, like, a bunch of different ones I've ever, like, heard, but, like, I've never liked some of them.
Yeah, I forget what we are.
I don't remember what
We're
it
just
was.
from Connecticut.
Yeah, that's how I looked at it. I actually had a guy one time at the hotel bar that I was working at, and he was there for a wedding. So I had a person from Jersey, a person from somewhere in the South, I believe it was like one of the Carolinas, and then me, and then like this guy, and like they were talking, and I think some like, I don't know, some other accent came into play and all this. And then all of a sudden the guy goes, so where are you from? And I was like, I'm from Connecticut. And he goes, so how come you don't have an accent? And I was like, people in Connecticut don't have accents.
Yeah.
And then, which is kind of sounds a little snobbish,
yeah,
but like,
sure, it does.
He's from Washington, and Washington doesn't have like accents either.
Not really, yeah. They're not deep enough in the South where like...
or like the Midwest or like anything like that. And I told him, I was like, and learning from so many people in the United States at that, like, or even like other countries, like, who kind of have been to Connecticut, they're like, the only thing you guys have going with you is like, you guys pronounce things like really weird.
Well, they're like over enunciated.
Yeah,
like saying the word enunciated.
Like I feel like exactly is like one of those things. Like you're not even putting the right letters. Like when you're saying that word, even the word Connecticut. Like I feel like sometimes people like drop letters out of like the word you're supposed to say.
Yeah.
So I was like, nope. This is just how we talk. And we also talk really fast.
Yeah.
So.
Right, versus the South. So when I lived down in Florida, for like 2 years. I was in Gainesville, so I wasn't like deep South. I think
heard of it.
That's technically the northern part of Florida, I believe.
Yeah.
That was the Gators. We lived in Gainesville, so it was college town.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
That's why I heard of it.
We were there, and one of the girls in my classes said that I said the word dollar really weird. She's like, you say dollar really weird. She's like, you say dollar. And it's like, it's a dollar. Like the way that it's like a dollar, like the way that they would say it. I'm like, yeah, it's a dollar. Like,
and I feel like that conversation when you're going back and forth, being like, yeah, we're saying the same thing.
It's the same word. She's like, no, but you say it real weird. I'm like, she's like, you say it like dollar, and I'm like, yeah, it's a dollar. Like,
that's how I think of people when they say like mamoons and New Haven.
Yeah.
But I say mamoons, and a lot of people I know like say like mamoons.
Yeah.
And I'm like. Just like people say Monroe, and I say Monroe.
Monroe. Yeah, it's Monroe.
And everyone like pronounces it like, and I'm like, what are you doing?
It's so funny that we do that.
I know.
Oh, our language and just all that communication. Like I love, I don't know if I've shared this either on the podcast or with you, but like I so badly want to befriend someone who's British. Just to have them around, like just to hang out with them and have conversations. No, specifically for the accent alone.
Well, I did so at the hotel. There was this young kid, and he was there for like a week or two. He actually like worked with he like sold things within like the funeral homes.
Oh, okay.
That's what he did. But he like came from England to come over here to have to like sell things to people.
Weird.
It was a really weird job he had, but no, so, like, when he would talk, like, his accent, because even in England, like, it's all different.
Yeah.
Like, depending on, like,
right.
your
If
accent.
northern, southern,
Yeah, like,
Liverpool
southern
is
one-
different from Wales, like, completely different.
Like,
yeah.
really, like, thick accent. And, like, his was, like, different than what I normally, like, hear. But, yeah, he always thought, like, when we said things, or, like, he'd, like, learn about, I forgot what I did teach him, like, a word that we use here, and, like, they don't really use it over there. And I was like, well, it means, like, this. He goes, that's really odd.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I was like, a lot of people, like, in Europe think, like, a lot of things we do are really odd.
And you want to know what? I can't disagree with them. The things that we do over here, like, you start to realize, like, if you start going outside of the United States, right, or North America, whatever we want to call it, right, if you start leaving this country
Right.
and you travel abroad, you start to realize that that universal system that everyone else uses, it's like, we're real different here. Like, why? We just do things real differently. And it's just funny how that, I don't know. It's just an interesting thing when you start to leave.
When we were talking about, like, the TV shows, we were talking about that because we were talking about, like, the whole Netflix and watching, like, seasons. And I said, like, I could never get into certain. I feel like a lot of British shows and all of that are very dry humor. And I've never been able to get into it, really. So, like, I tried watching, like, The Office from there.
Yes. Totally
Couldn't
different
stand
show.
it.
Oh.
And, like, love The Office from here.
Yes.
But when we were talking about that, he was like, you guys are, like, so weird. Like, you kind of, like, drag out shows. And I was like, oh. And he's like, no, like, over there, like, we probably go up to, like, 3 or 4 seasons.
That's it, tops.
And I go, oh, my, mind you, Trailer Park
Boys
12.
12
I'm pretty sure The Simpsons and Family Guy have got to be up to, like, 22.
Oh, yeah, at least, yeah.
Easily. So I was like, yeah, that's just America really wanting money.
Yeah, that's it.
How I look at that.
Yeah,
so.
just trying to make that paper.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were talking about movies before when you hire different actors. What I was going to say was, so I just saw Black Panther last night.
Everyone should go see that, by the way.
Yo,
I've seen it twice.
It was good. Yo, this whole buildup of this, just the Marvel world right now.
Yup.
The fact, it's
Intense.
so good. It's
really
so
intense.
good. It's basically, so as a kid, I got into comics. More specifically, I should say, the cards. My brother and I collected the cards because, the cards were just cool. Like, I didn't care about baseball. I didn't care about football.
Yeah.
So, like, there were kids in my class that were collecting football cards. I was collecting, like, Wolverine and Gambit and Cyclops and Thanos and, like, these cards. And I'm like, yes, dude, I got the holographic. I got the look at this thing. I got the. So now I have this whole binder of all these cards from years.
I've never seen something like that.
From years. Oh, they're dope. I got to show them to you. Oh, Amber, you're going to love them.
I kind of feel like when you're just, like, describing
It's
this,
so
I'm like,
cool.
oh, Pokemon.
It's basically
So it's basically the same thing,
It's
right?
Pokemon but Marvel.
Okay.
So it's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
So I had that. Like, I collected all that stuff. I had comics, but I didn't like comics because I realized this later. I'm dyslexic. So when I read the comics, I had a lot of trouble getting through a comic because I would have to reread things. And the fact that all the bubbles were everywhere else, like all over the place, like, it took me a while to process it as a younger kid.
Right.
Couple that with switching words around constantly.
Yep.
I had no comprehension of what was happening.
I agree with that too. I actually, when I was reading, like, all, like, I guess I would call them more, like, I don't even know, like, not indie, but there's like a word for them. But it's not like the Marvel ones I, like, read. I read, like, the ones that, like,
You call them indie? Yeah.
Is it indie? Yeah. And, like, I remember, like, at one point I started thinking of that, like, on how, like, the bubbles sometimes, and, like, certain comics actually, the way it is and the way they are, they actually kind of don't add up. And you're like, wait, was I supposed to read that one? And then, like, you reread and you're like, oh wait, no, that's how the conversation actually goes. And I'm like, that's a little confusing sometimes.
It's real. I mean, for a 10-year-old kid, I was like, wait, what's happening?
That too.
I was like, all right. So what I did was I said, well, screw this reading thing. I'm just going to look at the pictures. And I would look at the pictures and I would draw the characters. Like, that was like a big thing for me as like a young man. I shouldn't even say young man, as like an older child. Like, I would draw, and we would get these cards, and I would draw these cards. I would just keep drawing these characters. So now the fact that they've taken these movies, these characters that I've known and drawn, and now they've made them come, like, Wolverine in real life is like, oh my God, this is amazing.
And I really do think a lot of the casting that they've done for them always kind of, like, fit them too. So I feel like,
for the most part,
I think the Wolverine one, first of all,
Wolverine's spot on.
Right.
He's spot on.
I know.
Like, that's a ringer.
I do think that Chris Hemsworth actually could really look like a Thor. I think he kind of
totally.
He's
Thor. Yep.
I don't really care for half of the new X-Men.
No.
I don't think a lot of them actually match up to how they should look. Like,
No.
and I know people would fight me on this, but like the old X-Men with like the older people and not like when we're doing this whole young generation thing. I thought that, I can't remember her name right now. Is it Rebecca Stamos? John Stamos' ex-wife. She was the one who played Mystique in like the older ones.
Yes.
And I thought that was spot on looking.
She was good.
I was like, dang.
Yeah.
But like, love Jennifer Lawrence with a passion in my heart. But
Yeah.
I don't think anything fits looking like Mystique at all.
No.
I just like, I don't see it. I don't like the way they've done the hair.
But you know what that is? That sells tickets. Remember we were talking about before? Jennifer Lawrence
I know.
from whatever those other movies were.
Hunger Games.
From Hunger Games. She's now in the X-Men. So people are like, cool, I'm going to show up.
Right.
Like, what's her name? Who was in Game of Thrones?
I already know where that
who's
was
now
going.
the Phoenix.
Phoenix, yeah.
Jean Grey. Mm-hmm. It's like, she's not a Jean Grey.
That did amazing for that movie. Like, for them to get money.
I didn't see that one. There's a bunch that I missed, which kind of bums me out.
I don't really care about the new X-Men ones.
No.
It's like not worth like
I'm
my
waiting
time.
for them to redo all of it, because now that Disney owns them, they can start to say like, oh, cool, we actually like care about these characters,
right?
And we can make a crap ton of money. Mm-hmm. Let's include all like they're crushing it with the Avengers,
and that Disney like owns the world. Well,
Disney does own the world,
they really do.
Yeah.
I actually did watch. What's the DC one?
Oh, yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
No one cares about DC. I was just talking about this with Duckman.
Not Avengers.
No, it's not the Avengers. It's the
wow.
Someone's listening, going, "It's the
Justice
thing."
League.
Justice League. Yeah.
I watched that and I was like, and whoever was watching it, they were like, "What do you mean? Like, it's not bad?" And I go, "It's not bad."
It's not
I go,
bad,
I feel like
yeah.
Avengers has put like this pedestal right now.
did.
So like they should have like really like
Crushed it.
kicked it up.
Yeah.
Like kicked it up a notch. Like, and it really.
That
And Ben Affleck as Batman, I'll never understand that.
Stop it. Ben Affleck. Hold on, Ben. Listen to me. I'm addressing the camera right now. I'm gonna address this camera, Ben. I'm sorry, dude. Like, you've done some cool things.
Yeah.
But you are not Batman.
No.
You're just not.
No.
I just wanted to put that out there.
I think that's fine.
Sorry, Ben.
No offense. I mean, George Clooney wasn't a very good Batman either.
No, George Clooney wasn't.
No one ever
Batman.
remembers that Batman.
I mean, everyone goes
I
back to
loved
Michael
it,
Keaton.
but
Michael
I know,
Keaton is
everyone
like the
says that.
OG, but even still, like, I don't know. Christian Bale, I guess, was all right. He overdid it with the like with his deep voice.
That's
like, dude,
a lot of
we get
people
it.
actually had said that. I liked him as Batman personally, but
He was
like,
okay.
Those are the only two that you ever.
He was a
hear
good Bruce Wayne. He was a good Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. Oh, I could definitely agree with that.
He was
Yeah.
a Bruce Wayne, spot on.
Yeah.
But as Batman, no. Michael Keaton was a dope Batman.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the alter egos.
Yeah.
And Ben Affleck is neither.
I just thought that was the weirdest casting call for
It's
someone
so
to be like,
stupid.
you know what? Great idea.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? While you're at it, just get Steve Carell to be like
Sure.
the Joker next
Yeah.
time. Like,
Yeah. That would have been
come on.
great.
Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know who decided on those characters, but I don't know his name at all. I really do like the guy that they picked for Superman.
Oh, yeah. I don't know that guy's name.
I don't
but
know
no,
the guy's name.
He looks spot on. That's Superman.
That Superman hair, he's got like the Superman hair going on. I won't lie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really liked that. But again, like some of the women they've chosen, like they like chose for like DC characters too. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like, I
I
don't
haven't
know.
seen Wonder Woman. I want to see that.
Oh.
She looked like a pretty good Wonder Woman.
That's what I heard. I saw like bits and pieces of it, but like
Yeah.
again, like I've never been into any. The only
care
DC
about
character
DC.
I feel like
Yeah.
I could say is like Batman.
Batman.
I guess that's about it, really.
I saw the that's the only one that I know, right? Batman and Superman. Those are the ones that people know.
Right.
And then outside of that, what's his name from Deadpool? The guy who did the Green Lantern.
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's talk about Ryan Reynolds for a second. Let's talk about my boy
Deadpool
Reynolds.
was so good.
So good.
Ugh.
We saw the preview. So last night
And
we
then
were
the
watching
second. Oh, so you saw the preview for the second
preview
one?
for the second one. Looks
Who's
fantastic.
doing,
And that's what bums me.
What's the painter's name?
Oh, Bob
Yeah,
Ross.
Happy Trees
Bob Ross. So what bummed me out was the character Cable. So I grew up drawing Cable.
Okay.
Cable is enormous, like the size of the actual cartoon, right? The comic book.
Okay.
He's gigantic. And I look in the movie, I'm like, that guy's so tiny. Like, why'd you guys make him so tiny?
Yeah.
But he's not. I mean, he's a big guy. It's the
Right.
same dude who's playing Thanos. Brolin? Same guy who's playing Thanos is Cable.
it?
Yeah.
So someone had told me that one time about Thanos, and all of a sudden I go,
I can't wait
oh,
to see.
because I was watching, because, don't judge me. I'm like really into Men in Black. I only
judge
like
you a
1
little.
and 3 though.
Okay.
I'm like obsessed with it. I don't like number 2 at all.
Yeah.
So he's like in the third one, and I remember like I was watching that, and someone was like, "Oh yeah, like that's the guy who's gonna play like Thanos," and I go, "Who?" And they're like,
Yeah.
"That guy," and I was like,
Dude.
"No, he's not." I go, "He's not." Like, I'm thinking like Thanos, like this giant
He's
like thing, and like, you know,
huge, yeah.
like bright purple, and like
Yep.
even the voice. Like when I've heard the voice in like previews of Thanos, I'm like, that doesn't match up to me, and like I still can't hear
Yeah.
it. Every time I hear him talk, I'm like, no, that's not right. I think something's wrong there.
Yeah.
Like I think you guys are wrong.
Yeah, and that's where, like, you know, I get it. They have to do what they got to do, and they're going to put in like the CG. I think they're going to do like the whole chin
Yeah,
and the whole.
they do. Yeah, they do like the boxy chin.
And I get it, but I'm still excited because
Oh, yeah.
I basically now get to see these stories unfold that, like, I grew up, you know, not being able to read. I could read, you know what I'm saying.
Obviously,
I don't want people to be like, damn, Steve can't read. That's crazy. No, I could read, but it was just.
Working with them? No,
I was more of a visual person. I would just look at the illustrations. So now, like, I've pieced together all of these stories, and like the Infinity War is like one of the most epic Marvel stories. So the
Right.
fact that like they're doing that now and they're connecting all of these movies together, like it's just cool to see this creative process from different directors.
Yep.
Yet the studio still is like, hey, here's where we need to be. Like,
Right.
it's just awesome.
and they all did
to see
do
that.
really well to bring it together.
Yeah.
Mind you, as you said, like there were different directors and producers for probably like Captain America, and then
All of them.
you know, so like it is kind of really neat how they did that. And I remember also looking up when they were going to do the Infinity Wars, which actually I think comes out in a couple weeks.
Yeah, 27th.
So like I remember hearing that it was actually going to be the most expensive movie ever like made.
Oh, I
And
bet.
it's really, it's not even about like the CGI and like all that kind of stuff. It actually has to do with all of their A-list like people.
Just the freaking.
Because it goes from like A-list to like B-list to like C-list. So you're
Yeah.
obviously like still whatever. And like,
Well, because they're all in it.
right.
They're all in it now.
From what I understand, not like it matters to Disney, but from what I understand, it actually is gonna like cost like over like 1 point something billion just to like have this going on.
Just to get that movie made.
And then I think to myself, well, they better hope that it does as well as Black Panther and like the box
Yeah.
office. Like,
Yeah.
just saying, because if you don't get that money back for that, like, that sucks.
They will though.
I think they will.
They'll at least.
I think it'll be good.
they'll at least get it back.
Yeah.
Whether or not you're going to break that, whether or not you're going to profit from
Like
it, I
people
don't know.
who do lottery tickets or
Yeah.
scratch offs, and
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, I won $5. Well, that's how much I paid for the ticket, but so I'm getting it back." And I'm like, "Yeah, you
no.
think that way? Okay,
Sure. Yeah, that's a weird way to.
waste of money, but sure."
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
Never understood people with like scratch offs. Sorry.
Exactly. So I realized that we just went off on a dope tangent talking about movies and Marvel characters, but I did wanted to talk to you. That's not how you
Go
speak
with that.
English.
Can't read either.
part of why, yeah, dyslexic, can't speak. What else? Also, I have like sinuses. I've got like a whole allergy thing. So if my voice sounds like,
that's right. I forgot you said that as soon as I came here too.
so if my voice sounds super deep, then
Yeah.
that's why. And if I sound congested, that's also why, because I am. So all of those things aside,
Yeah.
Amber, I wanted to have you come on because I wanted to talk to you about modeling, right? So everything is art, right? It's a photo podcast, photo. I'll put that in quotes because, you know, we just spent 20 minutes talking about Marvel. So it's all of the things that kind of make the creative community that I know one, right? Everything is art. And one of the things that you and I have been working on in the past couple of years is you modeling for me and my photography, right?
Yeah.
And we've photographed so many different images. And one of my absolute favorite
And hair.
things, that's what I was just about to say, is that
Yeah.
you've had, I looked through the images that we've done, and I think you've had at least 5 or 6 completely different hairstyles.
Yeah.
Let alone just colors, right? But just from mid-length to really long and curly,
Yeah.
to pink, to green, to purple. I think we even did a shoot where you had your hair short and blonde.
Yep.
And I colored it purple, and you were like, yo, I want to dye my hair purple.
Yep.
So you dyed your hair that
Totally
purple.
did. I totally
So
did.
it was cool to sit and say like, ooh, I wonder what this will look like. And I did it because you had like, there was like a purple sunglasses or something
And a white
that I was like,
t-shirt.
ooh, let me compliment her hair with that. And you're
Yep.
like, I'm dyeing my hair that color.
Yep.
So it's just cool that like,
That was like the one thing I said about that program too, and I was just like, oh my god, I would actually just like sit here
Photoshop.
all day and be like,
that's it.
oh, hair color, oh, this next one,
Just
oh,
switch it.
Yep. I was like, that's awesome.
And we did one too in studio. I think it was one of the last ones we shot with Derek in here, and I think Matt might have been here too. I don't remember. Sorry, I'm trying to reminisce. Where I made your hair like a bluish, purplish thing. Like it was very clean, very, very, very commercial looking.
Oh.
Where I had like your hair like multicolored. And
I
that
know what
was-
you're talking about. Yeah.
And I love
yes.
that.
That was really cool too.
So we've done like so
like
many
that.
different things, and part of what I wanted to bring up was just that, right? You as a model is I had a friend on, Kim, recently, and she was talking about being versatile, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being able to, she's a model, so being able to kind of adhere to different looks, and you've just always done your own thing,
Right.
and it always works.
Yeah.
So has that ever been like a conscious effort, or is it just more of like, yo, this is me expressing myself creatively? You're not doing it for photography. You're
No.
doing it for you, and then
Yeah.
it just happens to work out really well where it's like, yo, Amber, that's a dope look, let's shoot it.
Because it's also like really artsy too. Because I also look at like hair like that too, like in the modeling thing, instead of like just doing the basic, I don't know, Victoria's Secret hair. Like if I had to really think of something like in photos,
Right.
like obviously it's always gonna be long, it's always gonna be curly, or it's always gonna be long, it's always gonna be straight. And mind you, I was actually just talking about like short hair and long hair like yesterday. Like also when it comes to like that with photography, they probably want more women like for modeling with longer hair, because a lot of men have an issue with short hair.
Really? Is that a thing?
My dad hates that my hair, even this length.
Ah.
He does not like short hair. And like my hairdresser actually told me her brother is like obsessed with pixie cuts. Like cannot stand like extensions and like all that kind of stuff. So like
Interesting.
obviously like when you're shooting things, you're marketing like to people, but
Yeah.
some people really don't care for short hair. But if you're a photographer and a model in maybe I don't even want to say PacSun, but like again like the Instagram kind of t-shirt,
Yeah.
the new things where they're like kind of like by themselves and they're independent.
Yeah, just indie brands.
I feel like they would want like crazy hair and like then the tattoos
Yes.
and all that. Whereas like
Yes.
if you're doing Aeropostale, like
That's just not
you
happening.
bet that girl's gonna have long brown hair.
Yep. And that's a good point, and I'm glad you naturally segued us there, because what we were talking about before was the quote unquote Instagram model. And I say quote unquote because there is this sort of assumed negative connotation associated with, oh, she's just an Instagram model, or he's just an Instagram model. And the implication is that you're not actually a model if
Right.
you're an Instagram model,
Right.
which we sort of agreed is not the case.
I think it depends too.
Okay.
And I mean, so I feel like this goes back to like how you said, like way earlier about like, different photographers and like this and that. So like, I think when the girls who are on Instagram, and I am going to say it like thinking that they're a model, but they're like kind of almost like working with like, not to be rude, but like really trashy photographers.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
it would almost like be like me being like, hey, my living room, like I'm just gonna
Yep.
take your picture like on the couch, but wear like a red dress, and this is gonna be modeling for you.
So
by
there's
the
a
way.
term. There's the term that I've heard for those, call them trashy photographers or creepers, whatever you want to call them,
I'd go
is
with creepers too,
is
sure.
GWC, guy with camera, meaning
Oh.
it's just a guy with a camera, and he says, "Hey, you're pretty. Come over. I want to take pictures of
I
you."
like that the guy with the camera is that important to have an acronym. That's really
GWC, just a guy with a camera, because that happens where there's sort of that cross space of someone who wants to do modeling and is approached by this guy with camera
Right.
and says, "Hey, you should do modeling." I don't know why he doesn't use a creepy voice, but maybe he does. I don't want to assume these guys are creeps, but it's basically like, hey, here's an excuse for me to get someone to come over to my house and take pictures.
Right.
Whether or not they are doing that for, you call it a negative reason, right? But
Right.
it's just that they don't know any better, and they're just like, hey, I'm just doing this.
Or it's like a weird like learning experience for them where
Yeah.
they're like, this is how I'm gonna start out. But like sometimes too, like that's where like I do think it's better for like having like, groups together and like learning from it, rather than like I'm just gonna randomly do this because my friend or all these people are becoming famous even on Instagram
Right.
with their work. And it's like, now I'm going to do this. And it's like, you might not be good at it, or
Yeah.
you might come off in the wrong way. Like,
Right.
That's how I look at that.
So one thing I want to touch upon that you said there, right? If you're getting into modeling, right, participating in a type of photo group is probably a safer way.
Yeah.
Just in general, a safer way, right? Better way, but also just maybe an easier way for you to kind of get into that twofold. One, because you get to work with multiple photographers, right? And you get to observe what other models are doing.
Right.
So you're in a space where you're going to be safer, right? Physically, and you also get to observe. So I think that's a good point, is that you get to see more than just what you perceive yourself to be.
I guess like you can even like when we did that at, what was it, East Rock?
Yeah, East Rock.
East Rock?
Yep.
Like being able to like have one-on-one talks too.
Yeah.
Like being able to like walk with them and just like kind of talk and like, or, you know, their experiences or just like, you know, this and that. You also get like a feel for that person.
100%.
So then like if they reach out to you later on, or if you reach out to them and you guys want to collaborate, you're like,
yeah,
actually that person is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But like if they were kind of like really dumb and kind of suck, like you could be like, oh, I didn't get that message.
Yeah, sorry, no. But no, that's a good point, right? Is because you don't know, because there could be this quote unquote guy with camera who reaches out and you're like, oh, his stuff looks nice enough. And you go over and you're like, this dude's a total creep. How do I get out of this?
Yeah.
Or just the experience of, and I mean, I'm assuming you've worked with a good amount of photographers to know that.
I've definitely had that situation, like when I was like way younger when I did that. And I was just like, and like when I look back, I was like, wow, that was a total mistake.
Yeah.
But it happened and you just kind of, again, learn from it.
Yeah.
Mind you, that's why like I work with photographers that I kind of like know.
So with that too, right? Is there something that, so for those that are listening that are trying to get into modeling, and they're working with photographers, and if they're kind of indifferent, whatever that might be, is there something that you've had as a takeaway working with photographers, different photographers, that you feel are things to, I don't want to say look out for, or things that are helpful to you? Like what are good things for photographers to do for you as a model?
I honestly feel like the conversation thing is like a big thing for me.
Yeah. Getting to know them.
Or something. There has to be like something there. Like I'm also just like through life, like not even just like photographers, like I do really bad with awkward silence. Yeah. So when you actually like work with like someone for the first time, and like they're literally just telling you kind of like how to pose, but like barely want to have a conversation with you, I think that's really hard. And I can understand we're actually like in a very professional setting. Yeah. You know, working, I don't know, let's say at the Vogue magazine or something, and like whoever comes in, like, no, I really don't think that model is actually talking to their photographer.
Probably not, no.
But that's also like, you know, a different, like, I don't know, that's probably a different headspace with them, because like they're just in to do the damn thing and then like get out.
It's a job, right? Hey, I'm going to show up. What do you want me to do? Okay, I'm going to do that.
Right.
Did I do it? We did? Okay, cool. End of day.
And I feel like I figured out like just like collaborating with people too. Like I feel like it's just like obviously the photographers that I've met, it's not just like they're just like kind of doing it necessarily for a hobby. Like they're actually doing it to like also like meet people and also kind of get their stuff out there, and like you're both like learning in the experience as well. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much what I've always like looked for. I also have to say too, I feel like I look for like people who you can like brainstorm ideas. Yeah. Instead of also just like doing their like same thing. Like I was actually looking at that earlier, like looking at these and then looking at the picture over there, and I was like, wow, I was like, actually, like, a lot of Steve's pictures are, like, kind of all over the place. Like, those. Yeah. Like, you were on that phase for a while, and then, like, kind of like that. Like, the urban-y, like, kind of things. And, like, everything's just kind of, like, went through different things. Yeah. Whereas, like, most people actually just kind of, like, stick. Yep. Like, solid with, like, whatever they feel comfortable with. Like, they don't go outside the box.
Break outside. And I think that's, to touch upon your point of basically, like, collaboration, like actually using the word collaboration
I love using the word when it comes to it, honestly.
Collaborate, right? Yeah. And not just say, a collaboration to me is, you give me an idea, I'll give you an idea. You give me an idea, I'll give you an idea. Or, hey, I have this idea, what do you think about this? And you say, okay, well, here's my interpretation of that. Right. What do you think about this? Cool, we're collaborating. A collaboration is not just, hey, I want to work with you. Right. And you say, okay.
Yeah. No, yeah.
End of it.
Yeah, no.
It's there's a lot of times it's this, hey, let's collaborate. Well, what is your idea? It's like, whatever you want to do. It's like, well, no, that's not collaborating then.
Yeah.
So if you say to me,
you have to go off of each other's ideas pretty much.
And I mentioned that because for those models that see a photographer that they want to work with and they want to quote unquote collaborate with,
right,
approach them with an idea.
Right.
Because that's when I'm approaching someone, right? Like when I asked you to obviously come on the podcast, I wanted to talk about this. But then for us, when we take pictures later, like I have an idea,
right,
and I tried to convey to you, like, hey, here's the idea that I'm going for.
Yeah.
So you came in, you had materials, right? I said I wanted some patterns. And you said, cool,
yep,
got patterns. Here's what we're going to do.
Yes.
And so now there's that collaboration, right?
Right.
I don't need to necessarily tell you about the lighting scheme that I'm going to use.
No.
I don't need to necessarily go into all the details of what focal length I'm shooting at.
Yeah.
That type of stuff doesn't necessarily matter, right? But more of, hey, you're coming in with outfits. Mm-hmm. You're going to come in with specific styling. Like you go over that stuff, right?
Right.
I think it's good for people to know that versus just kind of showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just like walking in being like, all right, this is happening. This is
right.
what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm doing something.
Right, because then at the end, you don't necessarily have a successful outcome. Mm-hmm. So it should be something that when you are collaborating, especially if no one's exchanging funds, right?
Right.
If the agreement is, hey, I'm going to give you images, you're going to give me your time, cool.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that we're making the most effective use
right.
of that time that we have together to take pictures.
Yeah, like that really cold day that we did the Red Riding Hood thing.
Yeah.
That was freezing.
That was freezing. I wasn't that freezing, but you were real cold.
Really cold.
But yeah, that was right. I forgot we did that.
Yeah, because I was like one of those really like small, like little ones, like on the side randomly.
But no, that type of stuff is cool. It's just being able to communicate, right, what it is that you're trying to do, what you want to try and achieve.
Right.
And sometimes it doesn't need to be dialed in so specifically, right? It can be sort of loose.
Yeah.
And I might be saying this and people are listening going, yeah, dude, Steve, duh, obviously. But some people might be like, oh, right, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily recognize that. So I think it's good to kind of hear that from you. So like you were saying, like having a conversation with a photographer, right? And for me, that's huge, right? Is being able to call it disarm someone or just make them feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I don't want to say disarm. That sounds creepy.
I mean, I could say that like I also have worked with people that like, yeah, they don't like talk,
yeah.
but like they're still, talking, or even like their presence or their vibe is like actually okay. So it's like, it's comforting.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, the ones that are just like, it's more like they came into it being like, all right, I just want to get this done. Like, but like my pictures will probably come out pretty good. And then they're just like, I don't want to say arrogant, but
sure.
like they're just like, you know what, I'm getting this picture and I'm good.
Right.
And I just think like stuff like that, it's like, oh, okay.
Right.
Well, let's just be really awkward here then.
And again, it's one thing if someone says, hey, I'm going to pay you what your day rate is.
Yeah.
Come in and do what I need you to do.
Right.
That's cool. I get it. Then like, you don't need to say a word to me. But if it's my time and it's your time and we're trying to like network here,
yeah,
why wouldn't you make that effort to make you feel comfortable and to include you in the process every step of the way? Yeah,
like giving me like the whole plan of like the day of like what we're doing, what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think that's good. So a good takeaway would be for photographers to communicate with your models. Like that's pretty straightforward.
Which you would think in any job or anything in life that's kind of what you got to do.
Yeah, so, you would think. But it's odd to me that I'll see people make posts about, oh, well, this guy did this and the photographer didn't give me this and he didn't supply this. And I sit and I think to myself, I'm like, well, what was your conversation beforehand? Like, what did you guys talk about?
Yeah.
Where now you're surprised that you don't have certain things or that the outcome was very different, I
could see some people too, like going into like a studio or wherever they're going. Like also some people might think that like they actually have like makeup artists like on hand or like someone like already there, and it's like, no,
you got to make sure you know that.
Doing your whole, well, of course.
Either know that or it's on you.
Yeah. Pretty much. Like, you don't want to just, like, kind of come in, like, rolling out of bed and thinking, like, someone's going to be there for you.
No.
Yeah. Which I think that's always been kind of cool, too. Also, you don't have to, like, when we did, Lauren, right? Lauren.
Oh, yes.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That whole thing was great. And then Allie was there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That
We got so many different looks.
I know. I loved that day. I was like, oh my God, this is great.
Yeah, Lauren DiNardo. You know
Yes.
what? I gotta have Lauren on the podcast.
There you go.
That would be freaking fantastic
She'd
to
be
have Lauren on the
great
podcast. Oh my God, she's the best.
She's really fun.
Talk about just
Lauren.
just dope energy, right?
Yeah.
On set and just in life, just,
And I just
dope energy.
Honestly, like always too, like one of my favorite photos. So funny too, because it's not like just like amazing photo, like, but like I liked that photo where they were like promoting the show she was having,
The fashion show.
and like I had like the rocker tee on with like she made skirts out of like ties for
Yeah.
men. And I was like,
yeah.
what? I was like, that's so cool.
That's right. Oh
Yeah.
man, you know what I need to do is I need to put together a compilation of just all the different looks that we've done, because it's funny because when I look at all those pictures, I'm like, you could look at it and be like, this is the same person. And someone would be like, really? That's crazy. It's the same person. It's like, no, that's Amber. She's the same.
Oh my God.
But
I've
it's just so different.
so many times too.
It's
like
just
working,
so different.
like from like the bars and stuff like that. And they're
Yeah.
just like, you used to have purple hair, right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm that
Yep.
girl.
Yeah, used to be
Like,
purple.
yeah, it's me.
Used to be pink, used to be green. There's
Yeah.
a couple colors, guys.
Of course,
Try
I
to keep
always
up.
got the whole like, you should really keep your hair natural color. Mind you, when you get older, you kind of have to.
Yeah.
Sometimes kind of have to do that for jobs. So
Yeah, right,
that
right.
sucks.
Right. But no, that's yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah,
It was.
we sorry, I was just thinking, I was like, yeah, I gotta have Lauren on.
Yeah.
But
Good idea.
it's a good thing to be able to do as much variety, I think, as you can, right?
Yeah.
And back to your point of being the stylist, right? You're your own stylist, you're your own makeup artist, you're your
Yeah.
own hairdresser, right? So
Right.
being able to be flexible and versatile with that stuff, unless, of course, you come and you kind of made the joke, it's like everything I have is dark. It's like, well, okay, if that's what you have, then that's your style. Then
Right.
what I would suggest for people is like, if that's all you have, because I would say that's not all you have. You've got a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But for those that are like, hey, all I have are these things, it's like, okay, well, then maybe find photographers that align with that look, or at least position that.
Right.
Because you don't want to have to go out and go buy stuff. At least I don't. I
Yeah.
never want to suggest to someone like, hey, here's this idea of what I have, and do you own this piece of clothing? And like, no, if you
Right.
don't, okay, well, I kind of want to do that, so maybe this isn't going to work unless we can find a budget to say, here's this thing, can you go buy it? I'll
Yeah.
split the cost with you.
Right.
That type of thing, right? And I've done that before where I've worked with people and basically said, here's this idea, here's this concept I have, and it's like, okay, well, I got to get this, and it's like, all right, well, I also have to get this material and this material for the set design, so can we find an even ground in saying, okay, well, I'm going to pay for this and you pay for that, or whatever the total cost for the shoot is. Again, I'm talking about a collaboration where whatever the total cost of the shoot is, we'll split it, right? I'm planning a shoot next week where I've got to do some body painting, and there has to be some
Nice.
prosthetics and a bald cap. Yeah. Hopefully this is going to be.
Are you like doing a movie like behind the scenes? Like
Hopefully-
what are you doing? 'Cause that
hopefully
literally
this is-
sounds like CGI. Guys.
It's going to be dope. Hopefully it's going to be so dope. But basically, I'm working with the makeup artist, the special effects makeup artist, and basically saying, hey, was our cost going to be? Okay, I'll split that cost with you, because there's a benefit for her to produce these images, right?
And
there's a benefit for me. So we come to that understanding and saying, okay, here's the position, right? And even for the model that I'm going to have coming in, someone I've never worked with before, and basically explain, here's the concept, here's the idea, here's what you will be getting out of it, right? And that kind of thing. So everyone's on the same page. I think that's really sort of the moral of my rant or whatever it is, my explanation. But really having you on here to kind of echo or just acknowledge if those things are accurate, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I do, again, like that goes back to like when, let's say not even like the model, because really like obviously like, they are helping you out a lot, like in whatever you need your picture for, or even if it's for nothing, I guess. But yeah, I think when it comes to like kind of like the makeup artists, like when, especially when they're like something like that, like actually a special like, category of like special effects, and then like you guys are working together, like I think that's when that actually becomes like, like a bigger thing.
Yeah.
Because like they're definitely like in the same boat as you are, where they're like, don't get me wrong, like models are trying to promote their work too.
Yeah.
But like you guys are the ones like actually like creating those things as well, if that makes sense. Like yes, the model is there, but it's kind of like you can give that to someone being like, this is my work and like this and that, and like really promote it.
Right. I mean, in this specific shoot, I could make the argument that I could have used a multitude of different models, right? Potentially.
Right.
And it's not to sit and take anything away from that, because so let's talk about this. There is a value in modeling, right? So every time that I've worked with you, part of why we've continued to work together is because I've found value in what you do. And you show up to a shoot, I give you some loose direction, and you just go with it.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of you. So if I can give you credit now, is that you're incredible at what you do. And what's nice is that when I give you loose direction and we kind of refine it, you know enough to kind of change it here and you change it there.
Right.
You won't just stand there and wait for me to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
You'll take it upon yourself because you have a comfort with your body to say, well, I'm gonna move like this, and then I'm gonna move my shoulder maybe, and then I'm gonna turn my head, and then I'm gonna kind of do this. And if I give you direction, things like, hey, Amber, make sure you kind of keep your chin down over to the side.
Yeah.
What I find you'll do it all the time is like you'll get in a position, you're like, oh no, wait, chin down to the side. And like you'll do it because you remember. And that's the stuff that separates someone like yourself from, quote unquote, I don't want to say Instagram model, but someone who's just very amateur. And I don't want to put that,
no,
I don't want to say that's a bad thing, but
I wouldn't take it that way at all.
It's recognizing that there is something that separates, right? So for these girls, sorry, I'm going to kind of go off on another tangent, touching on something you said before, where like there are a lot of these girls that want to become Instagram famous. They want to get a lot of followers, so they start modeling. Cool. Now you're modeling, you're working with photographers, and you're doing these poses or you're doing these images to kind of emulate other people to generate likes and generate awareness. Maybe you want to be an influencer, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's fine. But if you're doing that, I would challenge you to say, well, learn how to model.
Yeah.
Learn how to really model and learn how to pose and learn what makes a good image and what makes a bad image, so that way when you're standing in front of a camera, you know what to do.
Yep.
Right?
And I would even say, like, it's like how you can YouTube anything nowadays.
You can. It's
like,
awesome.
I'm pretty sure my dad YouTubed definitely something to do with my car, and it was like a really big deal. And he's like, well, I just YouTubed it and I got it. So I feel like it's the same thing with like girls if they're like really, really serious about it. 100% positive you can definitely YouTube like
there's modeling
how to
videos.
Angle and like, you know, like do this and like what your position should look like and like all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So it's kind of nice having the internet, I guess.
Yeah, I mean it is, and even, you know, just standing in front of a mirror.
Yeah, that too.
Just
I would
stand
definitely
in front
go
of
with that. Yeah.
Get a full length mirror, stand in front of it, turn and look at yourself and stop when something looks good and analyze what it is.
Yeah.
Like figure out, okay, well, why does this look good?
Yep.
Oh, there's triangles being formed from here to here, because a lot of that, right? There's the, what is it?
What's like when you have all your angles and all that.
What's the classic Italian, Contrapposto, right? So for those that want to Google something, Google Contrapposto.
I've never even heard of
it. Contrapposto, I think. Is
that like kind of like...
It's the iconic like Greek posing.
Oh.
Like all of like these Greek gods, this sculpture.
Oh.
Right? It's basically like the hips go out one way and the shoulders dip down the other way.
Yep.
Like it's that.
Yeah, definitely like the shoulder thing. Like that's on all of them. We're like, and like the little wraps like around her and stuff.
They'll have their hands like kind of stuck. Yeah, like all of that stuff.
I feel like it's kind of like when those people do, I wouldn't even know what it's called. They kind of do that in a sense where there's those shows where like people are like eating their hors d'oeuvres and like all that kind of stuff. But there's like women who are like, you know, they have to be like a statue but modeling the whole like night.
Right.
I've always thought those are pretty cool. They probably get pretty hungry, but no, but like I feel like that's also the same idea too, which that could even help a person out too. If someone like called them up being like, hey, I've seen like, you know, your pictures, or like someone recommended you and like, could you do this for me? Like I could see that being like a pretty big deal for people, because that's really showing that you're holding like poses.
If you can lock into that,
so literally being a statue
for sure. And I think it's really good, especially knowing you know, one pose to the next, to the next.
Yep.
At least if you can get like 5 good locked in poses, right? And then just switch little variations from one to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next.
Yep.
Like I've challenged myself with being able to do that, so that when I'm working with a model, I can say, hey, give me a pose that looks like this, because I have some go-tos in my head, right? I think a model should sort of have those same go-tos, because if the photographer, like we were just talking about, right? Some of the potential downsides of working with someone is if they're not giving you enough communication.
Oh, yeah.
It's up to you to then say, okay, well, I'm going to do my job. My part is not just to show up here and quote unquote look pretty. It's to pose and it's to model, and it's to mimic a mood, right? That's conveyed with the overall theme of the shoot. So if the theme of the shoot is bright and colorful, and you're standing there with like sultry eyes and pouty lips. Well, you're not really aligning.
And not like laughing the whole time or like kind of like smiling and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not aligning with the mood. So it's all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't say this to you know, come down on anyone. I'm saying it more from a informative,
learning and like teaching kind of like point of view.
Informational aspect. Yeah. Because it's one of those things where you see, and going back to the overall point is that anyone can be a model now, which is awesome.
Yeah.
An Instagram model?
Yeah.
I could be an Instagram model. I mean, I'm not going to be, but I could be an Instagram model because if I found the certain angles for a certain style that would work for me, or if there was just something that I could sell, right? Why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
If I enjoyed it, right? And if I could make a couple bucks, why wouldn't I try to be an influencer?
Yeah.
And if you can find that, pursue it, but get good at it.
Like being super happy and like promoting like Orbit Gum.
Orbit Gum.
If that's even still around, I don't even know.
I don't know. Orbit Gum. I'm so out of the gum. I don't even know.
I don't know how to chew gum anymore.
No, I don't. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
I don't drink soda and I don't chew gum.
Oh, I've been on like such a soda kick.
No,
now.
I can't do
so
soda.
Bad. That's a good thing. That's a
No,
good thing.
I drink water. Oh, sorry. Coffee.
I was gonna say you got like a Keurig going on over there, so you can't lie.
But coffee and water, not enough water.
Yeah.
Lots of coffee though.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't drink soda. I can't drink it anymore because you know what it is? I get like the sugar film on my teeth.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, and
it's also really bad for you. It's
garbage.
I wouldn't really say that coffee's bad for you, honestly. Like,
probably
it is for like I feel like your like teeth and stuff like that.
Very acidic.
But I don't really know if it's like that bad for your actual body. Like if you were drinking like actual like black coffee, I think you'd be fine.
Yeah.
It's just beans and caffeine.
Right. It's when you start throwing in the sugar and you start throwing in the whip and the caramel and
like those people at Dunkin' Donuts where Amber goes there and asks for like hazelnut, one cream, and then all of a sudden gets, because of society ruining my coffee, always get the 3 sugars and the 3 cream. I think it's like called light and sweet or something like that. Light and sweet,
yep.
And then I'm just like, really, really upset for the rest of the day.
Right, because you're like, dude, I didn't want sugar. I know everyone else does.
I don't like sugar and like coffee. It's weird.
I used to. When I was younger, I did. But now...
I've done it. I've done it.
I guess I'm realizing I've kind of just removed sugar. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still eat some sweets.
Well, yeah.
But...
like some cheesecake or something.
Oh, cheesecake's phenomenal. Key lime pie. Yo, give me some key lime pie.
No.
Dude, you don't like key lime pie?
I don't like lemon bar like cookies.
Citrus? You don't like citrus?
I do like citrus. I just like don't like it in desserts. Just like
that's fair.
I don't think mint should be in desserts.
Oh,
it should be in my toothpaste.
Give me some of this right here.
Oh my god, I can't stand it.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like
it should be in my Altoids. That's it.
Yes.
And my toothpaste.
Yes.
Freshen my breath. Don't compliment my chocolate. Ew.
Yeah. And like I try so hard. I will not lie. It's like me and tomatoes. I try so hard every year to like Thin Mints.
You give them a shot. And
never goes. No, it just never goes. And they look so appetizing.
I tried that with olives for a while. So my wife Sarah hates olives. And I'm like, you know what? I think I hate olives too, but I'm going to give them a shot. And I continue for years. I kept trying olives. I'm like, maybe, no, this one's not. No, I'll try them in a salad.
All different kinds.
I'll put them on a sandwich. Different olives. Yeah. They're nasty. I don't like them. I don't like olives.
My friend doesn't like those either. And
I just don't like them.
How do you not like olive? Well, the black olives are just like, meh. But like.
They taste like stale. It tastes like a stale bean to me.
No one. I actually know more people. Actually, I like growing up. The one thing I actually found out people really don't care for, which I'm definitely obsessed with, if it's right. But like cake. Oh my god! I know at least like 20 people that like aren't into cake. They're just like, I don't want a cake. Like I don't like it, and I'm like, why? And they're like, I just don't care for it. And I'm like, dude, I could eat like 5 cupcakes if they're made right.
Yeah.
Like I could just sit there and like eat them.
Yeah, but the frosting. See, I gotta start to tap out on the frosting.
Yeah, because it's a sugar thing.
I'm that old guy now. I remember my dad. So I remember as a kid watching my dad do it. I'm like, yo, you're not eating your frosting? What's wrong with you?
Oh, like he would kind of like just like take it off.
Yeah,
and, like,
he would like when he would. So what he would do is he would scrape off the top of the icing, right? Put it to the side. He would, fork off a piece of cake and then like get a little bit of icing on the fork and then eat it. So he would get like a little bit of sweet.
With that though, because I'll do that sometimes. Like when some people like make like cupcakes, they're like we're just going to load this up. And I'm like...
Yeah, 2/3 of the cupcake standing on it is just icing.
Exactly.
Frosting.
Like, you kind of have to, like, that right proportion.
Give me a ratio. Come on. Yeah.
Like, I used to go to, like, that cupcake place. I don't even know if it's still, like, a thing. But it's in Westport. It's called Crumbs.
Oh.
And, like, they kind of make similar things to, like, Sugar Bakery out in, I think, East Haven.
Okay.
It's, like, the one that has the cupcake truck and everyone, like, keeps track of it or whatever.
Nice.
But, like, they do, like, the things, like, the ring ding like cupcake, or they'll do like, you know, s'mores.
S'mores, okay.
And then like a Samoa. I was trying to go with both those words. But like they'll do that as like a cupcake, you know.
Okay.
And like but it'll taste like what it's supposed to taste like.
Yeah, it tastes dope.
Yeah, which that's really cool. But then again, some people are like, that's a lot of sugar.
That's too much sugar.
Yeah.
It's too much.
And it really kind of is, if you think about it. Like a ring ding cupcake, I'm pretty sure ring ding already has so much sugar.
Yeah, no, you don't need that to be in a cupcake.
No. It's like a Twinkie.
I love that we've drifted on these random tangents, which is just fantastic. So with that, I'll kind of wrap up the idea of what we're talking about.
Yes.
Overall summary, right? Let's do recap time, guys. I haven't done this before on the podcast, so recap, because you know I thought about this and it being a more informational thing, right? So try to avoid guys with cameras that are just hitting you up, maybe.
And what was the thing again?
GWC.
GWC.
Yep.
Okay.
Like you were saying, I think a good suggestion is go on a photo meet, right? So the Photo Plug is currently the group that is hosting a lot of meets. They actually have a meet tomorrow in New York City, but every month, if you go to on Instagram at the Photo Plug, they have a meet every month.
Oh, okay. Is it always in New York?
No. So it's been in Connecticut every time up until this meet. So this meet is now going to be in New York.
Okay.
They're going to Central Park.
Nice.
So I try to attend as many of those as possible. And so that's a good place for you to go get exposure if you're a photographer or you're a model, right?
Yeah.
If you're a photographer and you want to start working with models, you show up and there's going to be 5-10 models, people that are just there that want you to take their picture. You just go up to someone and just be like, hey, can I take your photos?
Well, that's what I kind of liked about the groups too, is that like you don't even have to like, I like pictures like when it's like photographers taking like pictures of photographers.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Like it's so like, I don't know, it's just
behind
like
the scenes.
So laid back. And like it is, it's like really nice. And like I almost find that more artsy than like the model. But
some shots, some of that could be dope.
Yeah, and then again, I also like the ones where you're really not paying attention and like they just come out like that marvelous.
Candids,
Candids, like those are the best.
So definitely go and participate on those photo meets, right?
Yeah.
And work on your posing, right? Google it, like you said, or not Google, YouTube it.
YouTube it.
YouTube it.
Google
right?
it too. I feel like either way that works. Yeah.
I think just overall showing up with a positive attitude, knowing that you're going to be doing your styling, your makeup, and your hair until you get to a point or until you start to collaborate and say, and again, collaboration. What I mean by that is, most of the time when I'm setting up a shoot, I am acting as the producer. And what a producer's job is to get everyone together.
Right.
Get everyone on the same page. Yeah. Make sure the times, make sure everything is set up. And sometimes that can be very overwhelming when you're trying to coordinate with 3-4 people.
And if you're on a time schedule.
And if you're on a schedule, right, and if you're trying to get everyone else that works, so you reach out and you're like, hey, are you available? No, you're not available. Okay, cool. Hey, are you available? No, you're not. So what I end up doing is, I need a makeup artist. I reach out to like 6 makeup artists.
And see like who responds.
And hey, are you guys available? And the first one to respond, if 2 respond, the first one to respond is to say, cool, you're available. Great.
And I've definitely been in situations too, like with photographers, or like not even photographers, like almost like what you said, like producer, like the kind of like the boss person, and like all of a sudden like, oh, blah blah is not coming in.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, and it's like it stinks too. And then like you have that last minute person that like maybe like works with them, but like they maybe aren't exactly what they wanted because that person is what they wanted. But they're like, it'll do, and usually it'll still like come out good anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be okay.
It'll be okay. So with that, I think the last kind of tip that I would like to give is when you're working with people for free, when you're collaborating, call it, or doing a trade for, right? TF is trade for time, trade for photos, whatever the TF stands for. That assume or not assume, have the expectation that people might at the last minute decide to not do it because something else comes up.
Yep.
And that's just the nature of this world, this creative world, because so many people are photographers, so many people are models, that if something else comes along, whether it's another photographer, right, a better gig, or I just want to go hang out with my friends today, or you know, something happens where you're just like, you know what, I'm just not in the mood, like I'm feeling a little just like, you know, my head's not there. It's like, no, you should still show up. You should still be professional. So the same would be true for photographers. If you want to work with a model that's going to be reliable, obviously someone that's reliable, you've always been reliable. Someone that's reliable is going to be reliable. But if you want to make sure someone's reliable, chances are you're going to have to pay them.
I think it's also, it kind of goes, I think, even to like, you know, a salon, for instance, and I don't know how it works with men, but for women, like, you have to like call... they usually want like a 24-hour notice. At
least.
So like if you had plans, and we've had, I guess, like today's plan for a while. Like if I had like, you know, maybe messaged you like, let's say 5 or 6 days ago, and I told you like I couldn't make it, like totally appropriate.
No problem.
But I could definitely see like where like the day of, like obviously like it's just like, hey.
I've 100% had that happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's happened many times.
Yeah.
And look, I understand, right? It's different if I gave you $100 as like a deposit. And I said, hey, you're showing up, right? Because then now it's a job, right? And I say that twofold, right? It's, hey, if you're a photographer and you want a model to show up, it doesn't mean that you pay someone and they're going to show up. Chances are, hopefully they will, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be what you wanted, right? It just means that they're charging and you paid them, and that would hopefully make them more reliable. And the same for models, right? If a photographer is asking you for money, chances are he's going to produce, you know, the images that he says he's going to produce because he's charging you for this, right? Now, it doesn't mean that every photographer is created equal, right? So if you pay a photographer $200 to take pictures and he says, yeah, I'll give you the images in a week, and he doesn't, well, did you have a contract? Is he in breach of that contract?
I think that's a big thing too, is that like I feel like when those kinds of things happen, especially if it's like a job thing and like you don't see them, that happened with me with some person I had worked with, I feel like, and I paid, it was like in the beginning, like when I really wanted to do pictures, and like I didn't see those pictures for like ever. And like she was a really nice person, but I was like just really annoyed by it, and I was like, I paid you. To take pictures of me. You said you were going to give me those pictures, so please can I have those pictures? Now, it's one of the things that I do, like when I go in these meets, I take pictures of people. And I will typically set the expectation that, hey, look, it's going to take me a couple weeks to get to these because I'm working full time. This is what I do. Like, set that expectation. Versus like, oh yeah, I'll get them to you tomorrow, when I know I am not going to get them to them tomorrow. I just won't, right? That's a magical photographer.
And I mean... And to me, it's like, hey, if you're able to process your images that quickly, like, good on you. But like, I've got a lot of stuff going on, right? I've got a family, and I have a full-time job and business that I have to support. So when it comes to those shoots that we've done for fun, casually, those kind of take less of a priority, right?
I think it also could be like back what you said something before, like if someone were to like kind of cancel about headspace, like even a photographer probably goes through those like things too, where like their headspace might not be there the next day, being like, I don't know if the editing is going to go so well today. And like, just don't get to it.
I mean, I will tell you right now, my face is so filled with mucus right now. It's like, I want to sniff so badly. I was just about to say, I can't wait to finish. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but like, I want this microphone to be out of my face so I'm just going to, you hear all that? Oh, it's just all in there. So
some mucinex real hard.
With that said, like, it's being reliable, right? It's doing this, I don't want to say professionally, but just being reliable, being trustworthy, and building those connections, meeting people, feeding off of good energy, good vibes, continue to work with those same people, and then that should just allow itself to perpetuate and continue.
And not everybody's going to be perfect, clearly, on both ends in reality. But 100%. I would definitely think, you know, kind of more roll with the good vibes, or like even the connections, and like that's where like you'll be able to go from there. Pretty much. Agreed.
Dope. Last thing I want to do is I want to thank my Patreon sponsors. So I have Patreon sponsors. So if you wanted to contribute to help fund this podcast and the things that I do, there's multiple rewards. If you go to patreon.com/SteveWalterPhoto.
I'm gonna need that written down. I won't remember all that.
There's a link in the description for those that are curious. And I wanted to thank Mike. I want to thank Zach, and I want to thank Mel, because they are currently helping me create all of this stuff. So it's just dope that they're helping me with this, and it's just awesome. So it's greatly appreciated. And let's go take some pictures.
Woohoo!
Yeah,
Sounds good.
dope.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Amber.
No problem.